we mentioned your Wim Hof method and structure, and Wim Hof is both a celebrity and now there's so much science around him that a lot of people will have heard of him. But for those who haven't, he's also known as the Iceman. He's a Dutch extreme athlete, noted for his ability to withstand low temperatures. It's not just necessarily jumping into an ice bath. I know he's gone up parts of Everest into the death zone, wearing a pair of shorts. He's done marathons in like sub-minus temperatures and lots of other things. And he was part of a famous experiment, around immunology as well, with 12 or 14 participants. So there's a huge body of backgrounds there with him, and Guinness World Records, swimming under ice and so much more. But it's great to speak to you, Níall, because you've worked with him, under him. Could you just tell listeners about his methods and about the man himself? Because he is larger than life. He teaches with humour, and he seems to teach with a lot of love as well. So we'd just be interested to hear your own thoughts.
Yeah, Wim is an incredible character. Anybody who's seen him online will get a feel for what he's like. He's this big, wild, charismatic character. But behind that and behind the humor lies a genius. He had been experimenting with the cold and breathing for about 30 or 40 years. His story is quite tragic. His family were quite young, and his wife had mental health problems, and one evening she kissed the 4 children goodnight, and then she walked up onto the 8th story and jumped. And to help Wim deal with that tragedy and that heartbreak, he used to get into the cold. And then slowly he started to learn and develop this method of being in the cold and breathing from the cold. But for about 20 or 30 years, Wim was ridiculed as this wild man, this crazy person out on the fringes of society, because he was talking about how he felt that his immune system was getting stronger and stronger, and how his focus and his energy were improving, and that was enabling him to do. He would describe them as these circus acts. These. When I met Wim, I think he maybe had 25 world records. So all the ones that you've mentioned, but all these really, really strange ones as well. Like there was 2 hot air balloons, and they were a kilometer up in the sky, and they had an iron piece of rope between them, and he held the world record for holding on with one finger onto that piece of rope. These incredible feats of bravery and courage and focus. So Wim's whole point for doing those, he said, and especially the one climbing up Everest to the death zone with no equipment, no clothes, was to try and get the scientific community's attention, because he felt that the way to spread this and to help people was to prove beyond doubt that his method worked, and science was the way to do it. He often talks about the science of the soul. So after, some incredible things like going up Everest and even world records, bringing groups of people up Kilimanjaro in less than 24 hours. Usually it takes 6 days for people to get up there. Professors in Radboud University brought him in, and they injected him with a form of E. coli, and he used the breathing that we see him doing online to fight it off, no symptoms. A huge kind of revelation that we could ramp up our immune system. And as you mentioned then as well, the next big experiment was they gave Wim a group of people to train, and in a couple of days he trained them, and they brought them in, injected them with a form of E. coli, and they were able to fight it off. So again, these landmark pieces of research that really unveiled to us the potential of what we have inside us. Beforehand, we were taught to have no control over our immune system, and now here is a person showing us that we had a certain amount of control over it. So for Wim, he's all about the science. He wants to prove this, beyond doubt to people, and which he is doing. As you said, there's a huge body of research now, getting bigger and bigger all the time.